Yeah, that belief can be, it's so strong, and it's been with us our whole life. Our whole life.
Yeah.
That it's a self-centeredness. Me. There's me and the universe. Tell me one person. I mean, find one person. You could, but it'd be damn hard. Find one person that's not thinking like that. There's me and the universe. There's me and everything else. That's everyone's experience. As a seeming personal self, that's everybody's experience. Everyone sitting in this room, that's the experience. Until it dawns, until it does finally dawn, oh, that information's incorrect. Oh my God, that's absolutely not true. So what do? We have this, this dialogue that goes on. I've discovered non-duality. I'm very attracted to it. It's great. I come to sessions. I listen to your sessions. I listen to somebody else's sessions, and I relax. Oh, there's a story right there. Now, that story is just arising. There's not a person there that's responsible for that story arising. That is just happening, like clouds floating by in the sky. It's just happening. But part of that story is we personalize the story, and what also arises in the story is, this is my story. That also just arises in the story. So we have these sensations. A contraction. And it's unpleasant. It's overwhelming. And then what do? We believe that statement and then go about trying to correct, modify, or alter this sensation of contraction. We don't actually really look to see whether or not the statement is true. The statement like, oh, it's so overwhelming. We just assume that's true and then go about trying to fix it. Is it true? Is the statement, I experience contraction and it's unpleasant, is that true? Now, me's going to say absolutely. The personal self, the personal self-centered is going to go, yeah, it is true. I walk around with this. I experience this all day. Which is just further dialogue that arises. And then that dialogue is believed. And then what we've got to do then is go looking for that believes or is convinced that the dialogue that is saying, I feel contracted and is unpleasant, whether that's true. Who is experiencing that? Indeed. Who is saying that? Furthermore, who is thinking that? Oh, and a me's going to pop its little head up and say me. Every time, me. I'm saying that. It all gets personalized. It's all personalized, and it's not personal. Whatever the dialogue that is arising has got nothing to do with you. Zero. Well, but it seems like it's to do with me. Okay. Where or what is this me? Tonka, at the end, it always comes back to that. Who am I? Where am I? What am I? If otherwise, there's going to be an assumption as to what, who, and where you are. And it'll be an assumption. Why do I call it an assumption? Because we don't investigate it. I just believe me is here. I believe there's a me here. And there's a me here that has free will. And I act, and I react, and I think, and I do, and I see, I hear, I taste, I touch, I smell. That's all believed. All of it is believed. It's like what I was just going through with George. Is the seeing dependent on meing?
No, absolutely not.
Good.
My question is, like, can that strong sensation still be there even though someone sees through me? So even though it's not personal, it's still there or here.
Yeah. That sensation that you've been running from your whole life, and you have, we all do. We run from it, or we try and change it, or we attempt to lessen this, this feeling of contraction, this tightness. We've been running from that our whole life, not accepting it, wanting to change it. Is that true?
That's true.
Yeah. Okay. Now, what if what the inner dialogue has been saying about this sensation that you've been experiencing your whole life is wrong? What if, instead of running from it, trying to alter it, modify it, or correct it, what if there's just the absolute being it? What would that be like? Not changing it, not modifying. I mean, has it worked yet? Okay, has it worked yet? Like, we spent our whole life trying to fix it, you know what I mean? At some point, you're just kind of left with it. What if you absolutely just be it? Like a pure 100% acceptance of this sensation that's being called contraction and unpleasant your whole life. What if there was just, okay, this is as good as it gets. Now, let's go into the sensation rather than trying to run away from it, alter it, or modify it. Now what is it? For a moment, little me will pop its head up and say, well, what is it? It's not pleasant. I don't like it. Okay, yep, I hear that. Now, stay there. See if you can make it worse. Turn it into a little exercise. This that you've been running from, this contracted energy you've been trying to alter or run away from or modify your whole life.
I did that many, many times. And then it changes, obviously. Sensations are always in a flux, you know.
Yeah.
And it just that it keeps coming back. And I'm just wondering, is it something that is, I mean, I have to learn to accept it. I mean, I have to say it that way. I just feel that life shouldn't be like that. Okay, it's my story. But from hearing from others, like I hear that people say it just falls, you know, that energy, that contraction just falls off, and there is nothing we can actually do about that. At least some speakers say that way. I'm not sure if you agree with that, but
what we're attempting to do is to see whether or not what the dialogue has been saying about the contraction, and it's the dialogue that's even calling it contraction, right? Yeah. What we're attempting to do is to see whether or not this dialogue is true or not. Mm-hmm. Not accept that the contraction is and it's unpleasant and then just try and live with it for the rest of our life. No, that's not at all what I'm talking about. Is what's being said about it true? Perhaps it's not. Now, if it's believed to be true, guess what happens with the contraction? It's believed to be true. What's one going to experience then? Contraction. What I'm saying, what I would say about that, this contracted energy that we've been running away from our whole life is a pointer. It's a call to attention. Literally. You could say the contracted energy is saying, notice me. Don't alter me, modify me, correct me, or attempt to change me, or indeed, even worse, reject me. Notice me, be with me. Which is what I meant a moment ago when I said, be with it. Is it possible to make it worse? It's like what lies beneath that veil, and the veil is the dialogue. Oh, there's me here and I feel contracted. What lies beneath that? What would have to be before that dialogue could even speak.
Space like presence.
Yeah, it's yeah, but it's closer than that, what I'm referring to. What could it possibly be? Like, what's the dialogue dependent on for its existence, for it to even be dialoguing?
You need to be aware of it.
Prior to that, what would need to be for being aware of it to be able to come into existence? What's below that?
Being.
Hey,
Life.
hallelujah. Hallelujah, being. Being. Now we've got this story going on. I don't feel very comfortable in my skin. I'm making it up, okay? But I don't feel very comfortable. I've never felt very comfortable in my skin. And as a result, I kind of walk around most of the time feeling like quite contracted in my body, and it's unpleasant. That's the story. And then what we do, run from it, change it, modify it, correct it, distract ourselves from it. Whereas, is it possible that that we've been calling a contracted energy that I don't like is actually a call or a calling? What if we did the opposite to what we've always done? The opposite. The opposite. What would the opposite be, indeed, for you? Your living experience, your meing experience, your inner world, and then you stumble into non-duality, and there's something very attractive about this. Yeah, there is. There's something very attractive about this. And now you're experiencing this, and you're watching satsangs online, and there's a sense of relief that gets experienced. And I'm not denying that that's what's going on, but just trying to incorporate all of the Tonka story, all of it. Now, what if you did the opposite to what you've been doing your whole life in relation to this personal sense of Tonka? Indeed, what would the opposite be? What would that be for Tonka? What would it be?
Embracing it.
Yeah. Exploring it.
Yeah.
Being it. You might discover that you've been that you've been running away from, you've needed to be going to. It's a pointer. This personal sense of self, this personal sense of me, and the contraction and so on and so forth, even the story itself that's going on, is a call home. Now, where's home? Me's going to go, well, yeah, that makes sense, but where's home? Are you being right now? Now, all that's been experienced your whole life is there's just been this big, huge, imagined story about the being, and it's incorrect. It's false. It's false. Now, how are you going to know that? How could you possibly know whether or not what I'm saying, what Terry is saying, it's false? Now, how are you going to discover whether it's true or false? What could you possibly do? What?
Inquire. I ran into Byron Katie as well, and her 4 questions. Is it true? And can I absolutely know? And going through all that seems to be very helpful into challenging certain beliefs. I don't know in this way if that would work or not.
I don't know. I know of Byron Katie, but I don't know her work, but I know of her. I should perhaps have a little bit of a look at her, because there's been a few people that have brought her name up. The being. And notice the word being has ing at the end of it. Yeah. Be, ing. See, ing. Hear, ing.
So it's a verb, it's continuous, there is no stopping.
Yeah, correct. 0 stopping. There's no increment at all. Mind struggles with that. Mind is dualistic. It can't understand there not being a start and a finish. It can't understand that. Yeah, like even the idea, the concept of now, mind will break that up into increments. Now, 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 now. What if it was just nah, no start, no finish? Mind can't grasp that. Mind's useful for a while, for a good part actually, of the inquiry. Yeah. But it's really only useful when it's being used to inquire into what you're not. It's useless, absolutely useless and futile to use it to inquire into what you are. Absolutely useless. Can't know. Yep. That's what it's trying to do. Mind is trying to work out who I am. Who am I? What am I? I've been told there's a true self. Oh, okay. I'm going to go looking for the true self. Not pausing for a moment and asking ourselves the question, well, what does that say about current self? If we're looking for true self. If we don't look, the inquiry, we think, and thinking always gets it wrong, okay? The inquiry, this whole process of going through of inquiring, we think is in relation to discovering who I am. And it's not. It's in relation to discovering who and what you're not. And the mind could only be used for that purpose. Stop looking for who or what you are. Let's start working out what you're not. That must be seen clearly. Now, the only thing that could possibly see that is that you are. Is that can see.